Welcome back to Transcending Cancer. I'm Char,
I'm Enrico.
and today we have good news because I just went for my year and a half post remission scan and everything was clear. Yay! Which is so funny because in my heart, I knew I was okay. I knew my body was healthy, but it didn't stop the thoughts in my mind from giving me all sorts of worries and doubts the entire day that I went in for the scan and when I was
And
waiting for the results.
and the day before.
And the day before. Yes.
And the day before.
Yes, okay. It was like a slow build, but definitely the day of.
Not easy.
It's not easy. And I went and I talked to my doctor, really nice guy. I really like him. And he said, "How's it going?" And I said, "Overall, really good." I said, "I just had this scan, so it brings up fear." And he starts trying to tell me, like, "Oh, but your cancer has a really low chance of coming back, and this, and all the logic behind it." And I was like, "I know." And even stronger is that I knew I was okay, and I still was just overwhelmed with fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember it gets better. It gets better over time. Um, if I have to think back, I think it's the sweat stain test. Like at what scan did the sweat stains under the armpits get smaller compared to the ones before? So hopefully you're reaching the point of
Minimal sweat
like
stains soon.
maybe not minimal, but at least decreasing sweat stains while you're waiting for the results.
Hmm.
Fair.
Yeah. What about you? What comes up for you now?
I mean, I'm nervous. I'm nervous because you are nervous. So first of all, being the spouse to you,
Mm.
like I could feel it, and it's interesting when you said I was really nervous in on the day, and I'm like, mm-hmm, like, and a few days before, but maybe you were not recognizing it as much. I could recognize it coming up.
Yeah.
Um, I had a couple of months ago, I had a CT scan, a follow-up CT scan, and this was 3.5 years for me. And I feel like this one and probably already the one before, like the one before a little bit less, but this one now it starts feeling like more like a routine.
Okay.
It's just something that, it's part of treatment to go and get checked and make sure that it's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Am I still nervous? Yes, but it's no longer a unknown or kind of like an overwhelming fear. It's more like something that, okay, I've experienced this before. I know a couple of tips and tricks how to manage. And yeah, it's kind of like get in healthy, get out healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mindset that you've mentioned before.
Yeah. Like I walk in here without cancer, I'm gonna walk out of here without cancer. Um, and time, at least in our case, like time is in our favor because the risk, technically, as your doctor also said, the risk is technically less and less. I don't know how I would feel if the risk would be increasing over time because that was only the beginning for me. Kind of like the first year, I was like, okay, the chances that it's coming back now is getting kind of higher and higher because it usually
Right.
comes back in the
Like a year.
like a year to 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's almost like kind of peaking and then it's coming down again. And I know the intellectual side is not what helps overcome the fear, but I do think it puts it a bit in perspective. Like kind of don't don't push it too hard, the nerves and whatnot. Like kind of allow yourself to be, but also don't beat yourself up. That's how I feel about it
Yeah.
today. I think 2 years ago it was much, much harder. Yeah.
Yeah, it is such a balance, because just in my work, I talk about the power of our thinking and how our feelings come from our thoughts. And I can see it so clearly when I go in for a scan. Like, we can't control our thoughts, those ones that just pop in. But I know that the more that I can observe them from a neutral place, the less of an effect they're going to have on me. That said, going in for scans, it's like, it still takes me by surprise how much these thoughts pop in, how aggressive they are, and how I still feel quite burdened by the emotional weight that they leave.
Yeah, and if I add on that, there are the closest moments possible to remind you also of what you have gone through.
Yes.
So it's not only the fear of is it coming back, but it's also the being reminded and pushed back into some of those really dark moments when you had a scan like this. And as a result of a scan like this, somebody basically, took the floor out and your life went upside down.
Yeah.
So it's not only the fear of the cancer coming back, it's also the reminder of, whoa, like I laid here one time and I walked out and my life went upside down.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point because our thoughts or our fears are going to tell us, oh, this is about the fear of the cancer coming back, when actually what's underneath that is the reminder of what was. And a release of what was. What comes up for me right now is this idea, this thing that I heard Deepak Chopra say once, which is our thoughts are stress leaving the body. And so as we go into these scans, especially right after, when we're still facing cancer, when we're in remission, like closer to the actual trauma, it makes sense that more and more thoughts are going to arise to continue to allow us to release what we're still holding on to, and very innocently and very naturally, like not our fault that we're still holding on to some of this fear, because it was so big.
Traumatic.
It was so big.
And that's probably the last point I would make, and that's why it's so important that you are being empathetic to yourself and don't beat yourself up in that moment. Like, why am I still afraid? Like, can I make this go away? Like, I think it's just part of it. It's going to get better. It's going to get better over time. And it's going to take you back to that moment that changed your life forever. I think we talked about this before. I think for anybody being diagnosed with cancer, there is a life before and a life after you heard those 3 words. And scans are bringing us back to that moment.
Yeah.
So have empathy and don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah. I want to share one more thing, and it's from a good friend of mine whose son had cancer. And I asked her about, the pain, because she said she remembered a lot of pain around it. And I said, when did the pain start getting better? And she said, well, the pain didn't lessen. What changed was her relationship with the pain. So it wasn't like this terrifying, overwhelming, I don't know what to do with this burden like it was in the beginning. All of a sudden it started being like, oh, there's pain here. And then she even began to find beauty in the pain. At least a couple, maybe a few years into the process.
And being able to manage it can be very powerful.
Yeah. Almost like a reminder of living.
Yeah, great story. Well, congratulations, you're still cancer free.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, guys. Until next time.